Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate your time. Hope everyone's having an amazing day. Welcome to the Newt Explore and Learn webinar series. This session is dedicated to the end user sessions. So whether you're a system administrator that want to learn what you can provide for your end users, or you're an end user of the phone system and want to know what else there is, what else could I be utilizing with the Newt Managed PBX? I'm your facilitator, Philip May, and I'm a lead training specialist with the Newt division of Fibernetics. I've been with the company for going on 8 years now. So I've been able to work with a lot of our company, or a lot of our customers rather, and a lot of our partners implementing the Newt Managed PBX. So I've seen a lot of different setups, and one of the beautiful things about the Newt Managed PBX is really where the sky's the limit almost, where you can really build a lot of really cool call flow and utilize a lot of really cool features within the phone system. And I think it all starts with knowledge, and that's why we design these explore and learn sessions. Um, for these free training webinars, we conduct them twice per month, and we do an end user and a system administrator session. They are 1 hour sessions, and they do include, like I'd mentioned before, a question and answer period. Now, if you're registered to the webinar, you may already know how to register, but please, I would encourage you to share this with your system administrator, or if you are a system administrator, with your end user staff on how to register for these explore and learn sessions. Hey, and maybe one day we can even do a podcast where we can go over some really cool information. So stay tuned for that as well. Website at the bottom of the page, business.fibernetics.ca/resources/training. And you will be able to register for one of our webinar sessions. Let's do the agenda. So let's go over, what are we going to do today? What are we going to talk about? What are we going to review? First and foremost, at business.fibernetics.ca/resources/training, we do have a plethora of training videos and resources. And at the end of the session today, I will take a look at some of the other resources that are available to you, including a brand new website where we have a lot of really cool information. And I'll be sharing that at the end of our session today. So stick with me. Our agenda today is going to start with the end user configuration access, or extension page access. How does an end user access their web page, where there's web page settings and so on and so forth, outside of just using their phone or handset at the office? Secondly, the overview of the extension page. Then we're going to take a review of the Attendant Console versus the desktop soft phone program. Voicemail access and visual voicemail, which can be accessed through your extension page. Conference Bridge, if it's been activated on your system or on your individual extension access. We're going to review Newt Mobile, which is the Newt mobile application, and the Newt handsets, whether they're Polycom or Grandstream, and show you where to get those resources. We've also thrown in a really cool overview of the Newt mobile application. Then we'll finish it off with Newt resources for end users. So all the beautiful resources that are available to you. Now, this is where it all begins. So we're an end user. We're using the Newt Managed PBX. We can answer calls. We can make phone calls. We can transfer. We can check our voicemail. We can do all the basic things on our phone system. Now, where this really opens up a lot of really cool access is your extension page. Now, there is a note at the bottom of this page. If you're not a system administrator and you are an end user of our phone system, your system administrator may have disabled this for a variety of different reasons. So always check with your system administrator before accessing the configuration facility or extension page. Also, if you have never heard of this before, I would also take a look, or have a conversation is what I'm trying to say. Have a conversation with your system administrator on, what kind of things you can have access to. And hey, your system administrator may not be knowledgeable about it as well, and I can understand that. And they can reach out to us, and we can help them along with end user access and stuff like that. So how can I access my extension page? So as of right now, I know things may change in the future, but as is right now, on any computer connected to your office voice network. So if you're in the office or you have a VPN and you're working remotely and you have what's called a VPN set up, that you have access to network resources at the office, access your internet browser. So you bring up your internet browser and you would type in an IP address. And an IP address in the little black box here on the right-hand side shows you an example of an IP address, 192.168.168.1. Okay, so that's not going to be your IP address, but that's just an example. So I would speak with your IT department, your administrator, or if your IT or an administrator don't know the IP address, they can speak with our technical support team to gain access to that. Now, if you can't really do much with just the IP address. You would need like login credentials as well. So if you need the IP address, you can type in 0000. That's 4 zeros into your handset that's on your desk. Press the dial key and it will play back to you your IP address. Okay. Now, in order to get into your extension page, you need that IP address, plunk it into a browser and a / and your 3 or 4 digit extension. Okay, so if you see that example about midway down the page, it's going to bring up a credentials box where it asks you for a username and your password. Your username will be your extension number and your password will be your voicemail password that you use today. If you haven't set up your voicemail, then your voicemail password will still be default. So this is where you can access features such as the Newt Attendant Console, extension settings, and call flow, visual voicemail, and also conferencing. So let's get into it. Once you log into the extension page, it's going to bring you to a page that looks like this. Now, this is a very basic setup. So most people would have something like this unless the administrator has worked with Newt to give you a lot more permissions, and that can be on a per user basis. But on the very least, you may see just your extension page, right? So it brings you to these menus, and there's 3 menus on top: console, extension, and user guide. You may only see extension and user guide. So if there's anything that we go over today, speak with your system administrator to see if you can have access to it. There's a lot of really cool features that they may be able to give you. But again, depending on setups, there may be a reason why not as well. So let's take a look at the extension page overview. So what is this? When we are highlighted on the extension menu, it really break it down into 4 different parts here. First and foremost, we have an arrow here. This is your menu permissions, which is set by your administrator. So in this particular case, we have the console, which I'll get into in a second, your extension settings, and then access to the administrative user guide if you need it. Okay. Then the second part here is your extension. So this would be, as an example, the local extension 760 and your extension settings. So extension name, voicemail to email. So if you want to activate your voicemail going to your email in an audio format, type in your email address here. Also select yes in this drop-down menu for include attachment. As soon as you do that and you click outside of the box anywhere in this white area, an apply changes button will show up in the bottom right-hand corner. Go ahead and do that. You can change your voicemail password easily from here. Maybe you don't want to log into your voicemail through the phone by pressing the voicemail key or pressing 2-1 followed by your extension if it's any other phone or on a mobile device, something like that. And you can also set an offline number. An offline number really would be, let's just say it's your cell phone. And if your extension, for some reason, your phone at the office stops working, maybe a rodent has chewed through the cord or something like that, you can put in your cell phone number and the system will automatically detect that your phone is not working for any reason, if that's the case. So in an emergency, I guess, or some kind of weird situation. And the phone system will detect and send all calls to this phone number. This offline number is pretty cool. Also, you can disable call waiting on your phone from here as well. Now, So those are kind of limited extension settings. Administrators have access to a heck of a lot more. The third part here, sorry, is your default dial sequence and your alternate dial sequence. And this is where you would set up your call flow. So in this case, if this extension is dialed, it just follows another extension. You can have a number of different scenarios here where maybe you have your colleague or you have an assistant or your colleague answers your phone or something like that, where we can have your extension ring another extension, or maybe just go to voicemail when you're on vacation. Or if you enable your alternate dial sequence, you can enable it on a schedule so that maybe it rings your cell phone for a couple of rings before going to your desk phone, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 or something like that. And we expand more on these types of features. We have some really cool videos to share in our remote work videos where we expand on Find Me, Follow Me. And that's what this feature is called, where if you want to select multiple extensions to ring, or if you want your cell phone to ring every time someone rings your extension. So I will refer to those, and those are some really good resources. Now, for this kind of overview, the fourth area here would be your programmable keys. And if you have what's called a GrandStream phone, which is the brand name of a phone one of the solutions that we offer, then you would also see these programmable keys where you can manipulate what shows up on the front facing of the phone, which is really cool. If you have Polycom, you would just see this kind of top half. You wouldn't see that. Now, just to kind of give you that example between a Polycom and GrandStream extension here on the screen. Also gives you another kind of example of the offline number filled out and the voicemail to email filled out. In this case, this person didn't want to include an attachment. They just wanted to know that they had a voicemail waiting for them via email. But remember to select yes here if you'd like the actual audio file. So that kind of gives you an example of your Polycom extension and GrandStream extension with the addition of the programmable keys. Now, again, in this screenshot, we're moving over here to that console page. So you can see that I'm on the console and selected this menu option because it's white here. And if you take a look back, you can see you're on extension page. Just that's how the system or the user interface looks. So let's get into the Attendant Console. And the next slide is about what's called the desktop soft phone. And the reason why we're doing a comparison like this is because they're very similar. And as a trainer with Newt, I get this question all the time, where what's the difference between the Attendant Console and the soft phone? What do they do? How much do they cost? What's all that kind of stuff? And although I'm not a sales rep, I definitely can speak to the differences. So let's start. Okay, I'm going to jump back and forth maybe once or twice, but this is the Attendant Console. This is the desktop soft phone. Okay, let's take first and foremost, before I get into anything, what are the differences here? So the Attendant Console is free. It's included with your phone system. And if you have it enabled on your extension page access, which we're reviewing now, you'll be able to log in the way I showed you. Okay, and then this console page will bring up a phone here where it has a full directory of all your extensions in your office. You're able to answer and end calls, transfer and hold and park and all these cool things, as well as visual voicemail, some really cool features within the Attendant Console, and it works as a remote control of your phone. Okay, it works much like a remote control of your handset. So in order to make a phone call through the Attendant Console by dialing the dial pad and hitting the dial key, it actually uses your phone beside you to make that call. So make sure you're near your phone for that to happen, or else you won't be able to hear. The desktop soft phone, on the other hand, is actually a paid premium feature where there is a monthly charge, and it's a very attractive pricing. If you do want to purchase, just a kind of a side note, the Newt desktop soft phone, you can email newtmac@fibernetics.ca or contact your project coordinator or contact your sales rep if you have that information. If not, you can get a quote and pricing. It's very attractive, newtmac@fibernetics.ca if you want the desktop soft phone. Now, the desktop soft phone is a program you install on your Windows-based laptop or desktop, right? And it has an extension associated with it, and you just launch the program and you have a fully operational phone on your laptop. So if you see this picture here, you load it, and when you dial on the dial pad and you transfer and everything, the audio is coming through your speakers on your computer. I would highly recommend having like a headset and a microphone for optimal quality and stuff like that. But this is really what that is. How now the kind of shared DNA between the two things is that they look identical. One is accessed as through the web browser in your local office and used as a kind of a remote control and gives you great visibility. And the other, which is the soft phone, is a standalone program you install and you can use it as your phone, which is really cool. So I'll let that sink in for a second. And just to let you know, again, the soft phone is available for purchase, and you can email our move ads and change department, newtmac@fibernetics.ca. Now, some of the cool things that you can do with the Attendant Console or the soft phone is handle multiple calls. You have a searchable search field here of a directory of all of your extensions. And if you take a look here, there's a little plus and there's a little minus where you can actually cascade these kind of side console parts here, where if you have lots of extensions, you can cascade them up to 4 screens. It's also very useful for a receptionist or something like that. Whereas the soft phone has the same thing, but maybe you don't have as many extensions, you can collapse and just use one if you'd like. And you can see that in the example to the right. Now, voicemail. We talked a little bit about in the console. We talked a little bit about visual voicemail. One of the menu buttons here within the console or your soft phone is a little voicemail or an audio reel icon, which takes you to voicemail. More on that in a second, and I'm going to show you how you would access that within your console or your soft phone. But first, let's go to the basics and figure out and explore how we check our voicemail in the couple of different ways that you can do that. First and foremost, if you're a end user of the phone and you need to access your voicemail, obviously you can do that through voicemail to email that we already explored. Okay, first and foremost. Secondly, you can access it remotely. The top one here. Now, through a Polycom or GrandStream handset or a virtual extension, you can check voicemail for those extensions. And one of the really cool things you can do, and we explore this in our remote work videos, which I'll show you at the end, is you can have a dedicated backdoor phone number or any phone number with an active live auto attendant, which means when you call it right away, it says, "Thank you for calling Phil's Trucking Company," or whatever the actual company's called. If the auto attendant like that is enabled, your system administrator can also program voicemail access codes. So if you do have that, it could be star star or star 98, and when you press that button or press those that code when you call in, it'll ask you for your voicemail extension number and password. So if you don't have that, speak to your system administrator. It's definitely something that can be programmed. And you can follow the prompts and check your voicemail, change your greeting, manage it, and things like that. For those of you that have voicemail to email or check voicemail through their phone or something like that, this remote access. It may seem a little bit archaic, but it really isn't. It's a really solid feature. It's been around for a long time. However, think of the scenario where you're leaving the office on a Friday. It's a long weekend, or you've taken vacation, and you need to be able to change your voicemail on the fly. You don't want to go back in the office, right? You're on vacation. You can use the remote access in order to do that. That's pretty cool. The second is internal access. As I alluded to earlier, you can press the little envelope or messages key or access your voicemail through the messages function on the Polycom or GrandStream handset, which will allow you to just press that button and enter in your password and things like that, and it will prompt you. Now, internal access, if you're in the office, if you're using a mobile device, which is the Newt mobile application, you will be able to dial 21 plus your 3-digit or 4-digit extension. And you could do this from the boardroom phone. You could do this from someone else's phone in the office. You could do this from the Newt mobile application. You could do this from a soft phone or Attendant Console. And you can access your voicemail on the phone system pretty much really anywhere. Or again, anywhere that's attached to the phone system, like the aforementioned devices. Now, you could also do this for a virtual extension. So if you manage voicemail for a group or a virtual extension of some kind, you can do the same thing. 21 plus the extension, dial that into your phone. That's a Newt phone, and enter the 3 or 4-digit extension number, and then it will take you through your password and extension setup, or it'll prompt you for the password. And just to let you know, and just a quick note, voicemail to email notifications are available on both handset and virtual extensions. So if that's something that you need, that is definitely something that can be done. So a couple different ways to check your voicemail. Now, bringing it back to visual voicemail. Visual voicemail, I've got an example of the Newt console. So if you take a look at the console here, and then I've kind of just zoomed in this area, this right here is your voicemail section, or visual voicemail section. And now that we're kind of taking a look at that, the Newt visual voicemail feature really allows you to see your voicemail visually, hence the name. And this is an example of you having a voicemail. So if you don't want to check it via your phone, or you have access to your console and you just want to use it this way, or your soft phone, and maybe you're using a soft phone exclusively, you can come in here, your voicemail, and you can see the caller ID of the person, the duration of the voicemail, and the time and the date, and you'll see a little speaker icon. You can actually listen to the voicemail. And if you click this little edit button, you'll actually be able to select all, or individually select a radio button where you can delete them. So this is a question I get all the time, especially for very busy users. Let's say you had 40 or 50 voicemails, just an example, in your mailbox. Well, you don't have to dial in and hit 7 to delete, 7 to delete, 7 to delete, rinse and repeat 40 or 50 times, right? That could get a little daunting. But you can hit the edit button, select all, and delete them if you no longer need them. And that will prevent your console, this little red button, from flashing, or your handset on your desk from flashing saying, hey, you got a new voicemail. So that's one way to do it as well. So you'll be able to select, play, and delete single or multiple voicemail messages all at once, rather than having to dial into your voicemail box. And also, it's really cool and handy to be able to access your voicemail with the click of a button and listen to it, or like I said, remove them, or just be able to see the information, which is really cool. So that's visual voicemail. Now there's a bunch of other features within the Attendant Console, and we have some training videos that kind of deeper dives into those, like your contacts, your call lists, received missed calls, stuff like that, conference, parking lot functionality, as well as the extensions within your office. You can see if people are on the phone or not, and transfer as well. The conference bridge. So if you have been given the permission, or been given the access to your own individual conference bridge, it may look a little something like the picture below. Now, you may only see one of these, right? So let's just say Phil's conference room. You might just see that with your PIN number and maybe your extension prefixing the PIN number. If you've been given access to this, to manage this conference bridge, and your system administrator would have done that. If you are a system administrator, you can learn more about doing that in our system administrator session. However, just to kind of give you a rundown, if you are using the conference bridge, and if you've been given a conference bridge as an end user, then you can change the description of the conference bridge to be what you'd like it to be. You can change the PIN number, and you could utilize one of 3 different types of PIN numbers. Actually, you could use them all too. General PIN number. Okay, this is the general participant access that's associated with the bridge. So you would give this to anyone who you want to give access to your conference call. Mute PIN number. You would give this to people that you just want to have listen-only access. Leader pin would be the pin number you use to initiate the conference call. And as a leader, participants will be put into a hold position until you join the meeting. And when you join the meeting, it will tell you how many people are on hold. Okay, so this is audio conferencing built into the phone system. Now, you do need to have a way for outside users to call into the bridge. So speak with your system administrator if you maybe you have a phone number that is dedicated to conference calls, or maybe there's an option within your automated messaging. So definitely speak with your system admin if that's something that you'd like to do, and they could tell you if they have the system resources or be able to make that decision. Okay, so also something that is, it's not hidden. I'm not going to say that, but it's a little small area here where it could be overlooked. I'll say it that way. And if you press this little drop down menu button, it takes you to the Conference Bridge monitoring tab. So if you're monitoring or you have admin access to your Conference Bridge, select this little drop down menu and select Conference Bridge status, right? So the main page will say Conference Bridge configuration and then Conference Bridge status, which will give you access to visually to see who is on your conference call. How cool is that, right? You'll see what position they called into or that they called in. So if you're waiting for somebody and someone said, "Hey, I've been there the whole time," but they're the the 19th caller to call in, you could call them out on that, or you could just kind of see who your callers are, depending on how you want to use this. Their caller ID of that person, the caller name, the caller ID, and the caller name. And if you're having a conference call, and I think this is the real value of this, is if you're having an important conference call and there's lots of background noise coming from somebody in particular, you can mute them. Or if someone's, spamming or harassing hold music or something like that, you can hang up on them as well. Mute all or unmute all, and generally just see who's in your conference bridge, which I think is really, really cool information to have. Again, your conference bridge tab would show up in your extension page access here, right? So we were looking at before just your console extension and user guide. If you had conference bridge access given to you by your system admin, it would look a little something like this. So remember that little drop down menu here. Now, take your business phone anywhere with the Newt mobile app. So the Newt mobile application, it has been around for a little bit now. One of our newer features on the system, but nonetheless, it's been with us for a bit, and it's very popular too. Now, this mobile app allows a user to have a brand new extension, and you can carry it in your pocket. So you launch the app and you can dial extensions, you can transfer, you can do all these really cool things, and you have your phone extension in your pocket, which is really cool. So outside of using Find Me, Follow Me, where you can just send calls to your cell phone, this gives you greater control of your extensions. Now, if you're a system administrator or a person, with decision-making power within your company, and you want to purchase the Newt mobile app, again, very, very low monthly cost for these things. And you can give them to your existing users with a new extension, or a new user with a new extension. And you can email newtmac@fibernetics.ca in the bottom left-hand corner right here, and just reference if you do want to purchase the soft phone or the Newt mobile application, just reference that you heard about it in the webinar series with Phil, and you can purchase the Newt mobile app or the Newt desktop soft phone or anything else you'd want to inquire about and add. You can email newtmac@fibernetics.ca, which stands for moves, adds, and changes on your phone system. So they'll make sure you're taken care of if this is something that you want. So let's explore the Newt mobile just a little bit. This is the iOS version that you see on the screen. Now we also have an app for the Android platform. And along the bottom of the application, so you'll see the screenshot on the left-hand side. You'll see your quick dial, your history, contacts, keypad, and PBX, which is just a link to our website at this point. Might change in the future. But your quick dial feature can be customized by each user that uses the Newt mobile app. and the context can be an internal extension or an external phone number, just kind of quick dial contacts that you want to have. So for instance, these are 5 random names that I have programmed in here on my extension here, and I can actually see if they're on or off a call. So if I hit the edit button and I add someone new or edit an existing contact, you can toggle whether you can see what they're on a call status. Now you also have the call history feature, which will show you all of your calls that you've taken on the Newt mobile application, your missed calls, and any calls you may have recorded. Your contacts will list all of your phone contacts with click to dial support. Okay, so when you install the Newt mobile app, you can find it on the iOS or Google Play stores on the respective platforms. It will require you a unique license, username and password, which you need to purchase in order to use this. But when you do purchase it and you do set up your Newt mobile app, it's going to ask you for permissions. Okay, and we are, just to kind of a side note, we are developing a webinar training session that's going to be recorded, and we're going to be launching that video that you can kind of see in depth how to use the Newt mobile app. So that's coming soon. So look forward to that on our website. But when you first install the app, it's going to ask you standard app permissions, just like any other app that needs to use your microphone or anything like that. This is going to ask you whether you want to import your contacts. Now remember, just if you think about this for a second, it's asking you to import contacts from your mobile device. Okay, so if let's say this is your personal phone, you're using it for work, and you don't want your personal contacts in the Newt mobile app, then deny it. You can always change it in the future, or you can allow it if you want all your contacts within the Newt mobile app with click to dial support from your extension in the phone system. Then after contacts, you have a keypad or a dial pad, just like the soft phone or the console, where you can access voicemail by hitting 21 plus your extension. You can dial an extension number within your office to speak to them, or a 10-digit phone number. And this little PBX, the next one, is just for future developments, but right now just links to the new website. Okay, let's just say you made a phone call, and we made a phone call to Derek. And we're speaking with Derek, or Derek phoned us, and we answered the call, or we made the call with this big green button here. And we have access to a couple of cool features, just like we were in the office. First and foremost, your keypad. If you want to make a second call, you would hit that and dial another phone call. You could place your call on hold, or you could record the phone call. Now, this is up to you. If you record this phone call, it does beep, and it stores any call recording on your local device. So it does not store the call on the PBX. Now, the system administrator can have the phone system set up to record if that's something that you need, but this button right here is just individual access and just stores that phone call on your local device. So either your iOS or your Android device. Okay, you can transfer a call, which would this button here would be a blind transfer. So if I select this button, I will be able to transfer to another extension in my office, and it would disconnect me from it and send the call over. I could add a call for a 3-way conference call, or I could do an attended transfer, which would mean that if I hit this button and dial an extension in my office, then I can speak to that person first before actually executing the transfer. Kind of, hey, heads up, we got someone here for you. Do you want to take the call, kind of thing. Now, these are all the kind of things that you can do. Now, one of the things I didn't mention was your mute and speakerphone. So the mute key, which would mute your microphone, and your speakerphone icon as well. And there's actually information and statistics about the call. If you are into technology and you like that kind of stuff, you can see the information about the stats of the call, and then the quality of the signal, and all that kind of cool stuff. Now, switching it over to Newt handsets and the Attendant Console and other videos and stuff like that, we'll get through in just a second. But just the handsets themselves, we have, if you're using your GrandStream phone, then we have created Newt handset training videos for each of the 3 models of Grandstream, as well as the Polycom Legacy handsets, as well as the VVX series, the newer handsets as well. So we've got handsets training videos for all those different types of handsets, as well as the Newt Attendant Desktop Console. Okay, so this also applies for the soft phone, which is the same type of features, goes through all of the menu options in more detail. So I promised you I would show you where that is. Also for administrators, features, and telephone numbers and extension setup. So for this one, extension setup, you can kind of take a look at it if you're trying to set up certain extension features. But I also have some other videos that are as part of our remote work series, which I'll show you as well. Okay, so those can be found at business.fibernetics.ca/resources/training, and you'll see a video directory very clear there. So hopefully that works. Some other training resources that are available for you are phone and voicemail guides, frequently asked questions, and news updates. So if you are an administrator or a power user on your phone system, or an influencer within your phone system environment, then I would recommend going to the Newt customer portal. Now, this is not for everybody, but again, for one of those people that I mentioned, you can go to fbs.fibernetics.ca and you can sign up and register for that portal. It gives you access to phone and voicemail user guides for your staff, FAQs, frequently asked questions about the phone system, and then just keeps your finger on the pulse of our technology. So when we have new feature updates and communication, then we will send that through the portal. So you can keep updated with the Newt world and stay beyond telecom. Also, we have online training videos, which include handset videos, extension features, and Attendant Console, which I just had showed you. Free training webinars, so the webinar series here that you're on today. And you can sign up for additional on-site or web-based customer training that's geared towards you for a cost. And it's not a very large cost either. business.fibernetics.ca/resources/training. It's all in that world. Okay. Now, our remote work webinar series and our self-serve feature videos, this is kind of something new. So if you're just joining the webinars for the first time, or you've kind of seen some of the resources, or maybe if you haven't, you may not have seen this. It's a new website that we will be launching in the near future. And the website is newt.fibernetics.ca. If you put a / and put in remote-work, this will take you to some really cool resources. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can bring this up for you right now. And I'll bring this onto the screen. So the remote work portion of our new website will give you access to the remote work training webinar that I've recorded. And I believe this is about a 45-minute to an hour webinar that you can play. And it goes through all the really cool features that you can use to set yourself up remotely, all the like self-serve features. And those self-serve features also have individual training videos. So we have it all in a big webinar or the training videos, which is really, really cool. For instance, find me, follow me, watch the video here, voicemail to email, offline mode, some of the things that we looked at earlier today. And then it gets into more administrative access stuff as well. So that is a really cool resource. And that can be found at newt.fibernetics.ca/remote work. Last, but certainly not least, is Newt support. Okay, so our customer support and technical support team, they're there to help you. That's what they're paid for. That's why they've been hired. If you guys have questions, you're having issues, problems, 1-877-777-7118. That's the toll-free number. Or if you're using a Newt device, you can dial 611, get you directly to them. Or less urgent stuff being funneled through your administrator, Newt support at fibernetics.ca. Okay, so those are some wicked resources for you, as well as a direct line to our support team. And I hope you found this beneficial, and I really hope you learned something today about the end user side of the Newt phone system and exploring, beyond just your handset.